At 3:14 a.m., the IRS-CI automated monitoring system sent a red alert, not because of the amount of money being too large, but because of the way it moved, a type of anomaly that agents call smurfing on-chain. 1.2 million USD split into 142 small transactions, executed within 11 minutes, passing through 4 different blockchains, then consolidated into 37 cryptocurrency wallets created in less than 24 hours. The speed of wallet creation, the rhythm of transactions, and the splitting pattern were all too precise, too deliberate, and too similar to the operations of a very large organization trying to conceal the money flow. But what made the IRS-CI analysis room fall silent for a few seconds was not the figure. All originating IP points came from the same coordinate, a 43-acre enclosed property in Seminole County, Florida, owned by Elias Mercer, a compound built like a fortress, 3-meter-high steel fencing, perimeter thermal cameras, vibration sensors, automatic lighting system, and internal roads accessible only to vehicles with assigned ID tags. Mercer, 42 years old, was the CEO of the crypto fund Solitude Capital, having appeared at blockchain conferences in Austin, Miami, and New York. He was called by the press a transparency reformer, someone who lectured on technology ethics and the future of digital finance. Yet at 3:14 a.m., all the data was pointing straight at that man's property. As the anomalous transaction chain continued to feed back into the system, another report appeared at the ICE Denver field office. Families of 7 laborers from Nepal, Myanmar, and Bolivia simultaneously submitted support requests because they had been unable to contact their children for many weeks. All had come to the U.S. under a single program, the Mercer Innovation Fellowship, promoted as a scholarship for training technology engineers in Florida. When ICE agents checked the last GPS data from 3 people's phones before losing signal, all pinged to the north gate of the Mercer compound, a place with no training center or office, only unmarked buildings, cold storage, server houses, and storm-proof tunnels built deep underground. The coincidence became too suspicious to ignore. Then at 10:41 p.m., 3 days later, the 911 line in Sanford, Florida, received a weak call from a Filipino man. He was found by the roadside more than 2 miles from the compound, drenched in sweat, feet bleeding from running long distances in the dark. In the ambulance, he said, "There are many people being held underground, rooms without windows, and we work 14 to 16 hours every day in the server rooms." But the sentence that made the investigators record it verbatim in the report was, "Anyone who objects, they disappear." Disappear meaning what? Transferred where? Why couldn't anyone contact them again? He didn't know. He only knew there was the sound of machine fans and people crying every night. With this testimony, all the pieces immediately fell into place. Within 48 hours, an interagency task force was established at the Tampa field office, FBI Cyber Division, handling the data flow, IC, Homeland Security investigations, focusing on trafficking, IRS-CI tracking the money trail, CIA assessing system risks. They set up a surveillance ring around the compound, analyzing abnormal electricity spikes from 1:05 a.m., monitoring thermal radiation from underground server rooms, determining vehicle entry/exit frequency via road sensors, and collecting signals from thermal cameras placed a few hundred meters away. Data poured in continuously from Miami, Orlando, Virginia, and independent monitoring nodes. Every metric, power, heat, movement, signals, pointed to the same conclusion. The Mercer compound was not just a place to manage a crypto fund. It was the operations center of a large complex system operating silently in the middle of Florida. There were people inside, there were missing laborers, and there was a dark structure moving beneath the legal shell of Mercer. At 5:12 a.m., a thin mist covered the cold ground in Seminole County, Florida. The federal formation was in position. 19 vehicles, 57 agents, 6 entry teams, all synchronized according to the plan, rehearsed weekly. Ahead of them was the compound of Elias Mercer, the head of the crypto trafficking system in this case. 42 years old, CEO of Solitude Capital, who had spoken at major blockchain conferences in Austin and Miami, called the face of transparent digital finance. But in federal files, Mercer was the central suspect, the one directing the operation of the private chain, grouping forced laborers, and managing money laundering funnels. From a distance, his compound appeared as an operating network, steel concrete server blocks that looked less like a residence and more like a central node. Electricity data collected the previous night showed a sudden load spike from 1:54 a.m., server room heat up 18%, internal Wi-Fi points flickering on a 47-second cycle, all indicating people awake inside, systems running, and someone preparing for the worst. At 5:14 a.m., Team 1 approached the main gate. Only one sentence was broadcast: "Federal warrant, open the door." No response. Short-range EMP was activated, disabling all biometric locks, AI cameras and sensors. 3 seconds later, the steel hinges buckled, the gate fell aside, and Teams 122 poured in, followed by FBI Cyber and IRS-CI. The raid proceeded quickly, targeted, with no wasted space. Inside, the chaos was programmed. From Building Central, 2 technicians ran to the control room, trying to activate the kill switch, script to self-delete data across 18 private chain nodes. But the FBI had installed signal jammers. The previous evening, the kill switch only ran 6% before stalling. In the West Corridor, 2 people tried escaping through a side door, but were blocked by Team 4 in 12 seconds. Another group activated Layer Lock, a 3-tier interlocking lock on Building B to buy time, but ICE broke the first lock in 70 seconds, and the entire chain of rooms opened in 2 minutes, 11 seconds. All Mercer personnel actions showed they knew exactly where to run, which button to press, which place to lock, characteristic of an underground system, not office employees. First discovery in Building A. 3 IC agents opened the door. 9 exhausted laborers, slumped in windowless rooms, gaunt faces, no communication devices, only concrete floors and 2 ceiling-mounted surveillance cameras. 1 was severely dehydrated, unable to stand. This was not the training facility Mercer advertised. This was a holding cell. Building B showed the level of sophistication. Team 3 entered, radio completely jammed. In front of them were Faraday cages blocking signals. 6 sealed cells, each with 3 server racks, totaling 18 racks running the internal private chain. Fan frequency at 98% load. FBI technicians recognized this as a laundering chain system. Cycling money, layering, creating legal covers. In the corner of the room, walls were covered with screens displaying 47 cold wallets, half-syncing data. The network map below showed 112 relay points across 7 other states. This was a financial coordination station, not a research room. The most critical room was found by chance. An agent lightly stomped the floor in Building C and heard a hollow sound. The top concrete layer was double poured, with a void in between. When the steel hatch was opened, stairs led down to a deep, cold basement. The final room opened under flashlight beams. A 14-foot-long table covered with ledgers, titanium seed phrase plates, hard drives, SSDs, NVMe, all numbered. The wall screen opened a PDF file, list 64 Pine-top PDF. The first page was a list of 64 foreign laborers divided into 3 columns: transferred, relocated, removed. The most recent note was only 4 days old. No entry for return. No completed. Humans marked like commodities. Right next to it were 28 illegally held passports, many still bearing Orlando International Airport entry stamps, some belonging to missing persons from Denver, Chicago, San Francisco. Passports stacked like operational warehouse records. When FBI Cyber quickly checked the hard drives, they saw the task routing system. Each laborer had an ID, assigned server, work duration 14 to 16 hours day, with notes when someone ceased activity. No detail in the basement suggested this was a residence or learning place. Every trace, every data line, every device pointed to one conclusion. Mercer's compound was not a villa, but an underground command center where crypto-encrypted data and forced labor were operated like an assembly line. And when HSI agents entered Building Central at 5:36 a.m., Elias Mercer, the mastermind, was arrested right in the system office he ran, finally fully exposed. From what was seized in the basement, the investigation immediately expanded. FBI Cyber Division data, uploaded to the Quantico analysis room, drew a map, unlike any previous domestic illegal network. A scrap of paper, a seed phrase, an NVMe drive with just a few characters, all pieced together formed the picture of a system spread across the United States. 122 cold wallets, linked through repeating transaction chains on an exact 18-day cycle. Each money transfer cycled through one of 17 shell companies registered in Delaware, Wyoming, and South Dakota, states famous for laws allowing anonymous company ownership. Among them, at least 11 companies shared the same registered agent, but that agent did not exist in any civilian database. When tracing login IPs to cold wallets and management nodes, the analysis team discovered 11 foreign IPs pointing to Singapore, Dubai, and Georgia. These IP ranges were not commercial VPNs, not cheap proxies, but belonged to data centers used for anonymous financial transactions. Data on the partially wiped SSD was still sufficient to let agents see the structure Mercer operated, a tiered system resembling an international criminal organization model, yet cloaked in the shell of a legitimate fintech company. The internal name of the system was Encrypted Cells, divided into 4 divisions, each operating as an independent cell, encrypted, knowing only its own part. Operations Cell handled coordination in server rooms. This was where laborers were forced to work 14-16 hours a day. operating the private chain, labeling seed phrases, syncing mnemonics, logging transactions in Mercer's internal standard format. They were monitored by infrared cameras, not allowed outside, sleeping only on concrete floors. Data recorded from operations cell included notes: no block delays allowed, no seed plate errors, no downtime over 40 seconds. Finance cell operated the transaction funnels, money chained through mixers, stablecoins, then to 37 cryptocurrency wallets, before being split again and sent to offshore wallets. Transactions always stopped at 945 DOTH, there's 9,700 DOTH, below bank reporting thresholds. All transactions were precisely timed, usually occurring between 3 to 4 a.m., when the U.S. network received the least attention. Logistics cell was the shocking discovery. AES-256 encrypted PDF files, once decrypted, showed the movement routes of forced laborers across 5 states: Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Missouri, Colorado. Each person had a code ID, entry and exit times at each point, always labeled transferred or relocated. No one marked completed, no medical notes, no release dates. And the final cell, silencing cell, was the data that silenced the entire analysis room. In the log file were lines: D24, transferred; M17, removed; C51, no further update. At Building D, where the basement connected via an auxiliary tunnel, cameras recorded strange movements before the feed cut off. After that point, no one saw the corresponding code numbers from the list again. The data needed no further description. It spoke for itself. Some resisted, and they never reappeared. In one part of the testimony from survivors rescued in Building A, a simple but chilling statement: "We only got instant noodles to eat, worked until our hands shook, slept on concrete floors, no blankets or mattresses." One person described the titanium USB plates. "If the plate got blurred, we were punished. If we entered the mnemonic wrong, they dragged us outside and we didn't see them come back for days." Another victim remembered the last time they saw their friend taken to Building D, after asking to contact family. She was crying. They said just going to a meeting. Then no one saw her again. In blockchain analysis, agents noticed the transaction pattern repeated perfectly over 22 months. Everything like a production line. One special block caught attention: 6.3 million USD from 14 US wallets, consolidated into 6 offshore wallets in just 11 days. Divided evenly. No transaction exceeding 10,000 USD. When real-time data was linked with server room information, this money flow matched the timing of new laborers entering the system. Every group of 6 people brought into Florida, the money flow increased in exactly the same formula. No operational errors, only the system. A cold, precise system that revealed no emotion. From there, the FBI and HSI expanded the investigation beyond US borders. One cold wallet led to a node in Singapore, where a fintech partner of Solitude Capital operated. Other connection points pointed to a data storage center in Dubai, and a broker in Colombia specializing in decentralized exchange transactions. The data chain was unbroken. It clearly showed Mercer did not act alone. He was not an unethical CEO seeking personal gain. He was a link in a hidden transnational supply chain, using crypto to circulate money, using foreign laborers to maintain operations, and using fintech covers to conceal the criminal structure. All collected data pointed to the same conclusion. This was not the case of one building. This was a network, a cross-state system, and a branch of an international organization far larger than what was seen in Elias Mercer's compound. In the federal meeting room at Orlando field office, a nearly 2-meter-tall map was set up, completely covered with red pins. Each pin represented a name, photo, and last GPS ping of one of the 64 missing foreign laborers. The site recalled the overdose map from the original Minneapolis case. Dense, cold, leaving no empty space. From Florida, the pins stretched in a long trail up to Georgia, then branched to North Carolina. Another cluster ran straight to Nevada, before abruptly stopping in the desert. One group halted in Texas, right next to an old transport route. Many pings led to empty warehouses, ghost startups with no signs, truck stops abandoned since 2016. No place had people, no place had clear traces. Only cold timestamps like numbers. Ping 3:17 a.m., ping 4:05 a.m., lost signal 4:08 a.m. But to understand what happened, agents had to simulate the movement path of each group, based on traffic cameras, phone data, fellowship documents, and information seized from the basement. Group 1, consisting of 23 people, was moved from Florida to Georgia by unregistered minivans. In Georgia, they were split, taken to a disguised tech facility on the outskirts of Savannah, then onward to North Carolina. There, traces stopped. Traffic cameras recorded 2 identical vehicles entering a warehouse, but none exiting. No gas purchase records, no phone cards, no location signals. Group 2, consisting of 18 people, disappeared in Nevada. Agents suspected this group was moved north through mountain routes bordering Canada, matching logistics cell data showing a transport route called Route N. At an old truck stop in Reno, the group's traces vanished completely. Group 3, consisting of 9 people, was intercepted in Texas. This was the strangest part. GPS on 3 phones shut off simultaneously, exactly when an unmarked container truck turned off the main road into land owned by a shell company, one of Mercer's 17 shell companies. No pings after that. Agents called these disappearance points dark zones, areas where data was deliberately blurred, hidden, or erased. And the largest dark zone was the system inside Mercer's compound itself. 17 cameras in the server area had logs wiped continuously for 90 days. In internal HR documents, the FBI found short systematic notes: new labor, no ID, process later, extend movement hold, reduce reaction group count, dry emotionless commands like managing goods, not humans. From the logistic structure in the decrypted files, the FBI realized Mercer operated the network on a 28-day cycle: intake laborers, split groups, transport, erase traces. A few were noted retrain, then moved to removed. No document explained what removed meant. From the compound basement, the expanded investigation was launched. The federal arrest campaign spanned 6 states in 12 days. 38 suspects arrested, including technicians, drivers, and 2 finance coordinators, those operating transaction funnels under Finance Cell. 5 server nodes in Mercer's private chain network were taken offline in Colorado, Tennessee, and Missouri. A disguised tech office in Denver, registered under shell company Northridge Analytics, was sealed at 6:22 a.m. Inside only 14 servers with no user data, but containing logistics guidance documents identical to those in the Florida basement. All formed a clear picture. Mercer was not just running one compound, he was running a branch of a larger system, spreading across multiple states and international links. But even with the successful expansion campaign, the case could not end. Of the 64 laborers on the list, 17 remained unfound. Blockchain data showed 3 international encrypted cells still active, continuing to send commands to 2 large cryptocurrency wallets regularly, circulating funds. Several offshore nodes continuously received money from wallets linked to Mercer, proving the system continued operating despite losing a major node. Agents reconvened over the weekend. On the board, they listed achievements: compound dismantled, domestic network dissected, most personnel arrested. But the lines in the right column were truly important. 17 missing persons still unknown, 2 offshore wallets still transferring funds regularly, 3 international links still active. Those numbers sat quietly on the whiteboard, but everyone understood what they pointed to. When the basements were sealed and all equipment transferred to Quantico for analysis, what lingered was not the sound of the raid, but the broken, intermittent voices of the survivors. Small, thin voices, nearly crushed by months of living in darkness. A Filipino man rescued from Building A said in ICE's first audio recording, "I only remember the sound of machine fans and people crying in the next room." No second sentence. He sat there, eyes down on the metal table, hands still shaking. In another room at Orlando field office, a mother from Nepal, head wrapped in a scarf, sat straight back to hide her loss of composure. She was asked a simple question. What did she hope when her son left Kathmandu for Florida under the fellowship program? She replied, voice steady as if reciting a sentence repeated hundreds of times. "My son went to America to find work, but he disappeared in silence." No screaming, no blame, only the coldness of those who had touched pain for too long, to the point where no words could describe it. When the first press conference was held, federal leaders remained cautious, careful because the network was still active. The HSI director began, "We have only scratched the surface of a criminal ecosystem." That statement was not meant to shock, but to reflect reality. What was found in Mercer's compound, 64 names, millions of USD circulating, seed phrases, signal blocking rooms, titanium seed plates, was only a cross-section. An IC agent said bluntly, in an internal update, "This is not the story of one CEO. This is how modern networks operate. Everyone in the system is just a piece, replaceable, erasable, able to be removed, as in Mercer's documents." Many unavoidable questions continued to emerge after the data analysis team completed the first round of checks. 64 missing people could not disappear on their own, could not simultaneously turn off GPS, vanish from cameras, appear in the categorized list, transferred, relocated, removed. Millions of USD could not go missing, could not cycle perfectly for 22 months through 122 cryptocurrency wallets, 17 shell companies, 6 offshore wallets, without a professionally designed underground financial system. and a 43-acre compound built like a fortress could not operate at that scale without people behind it knowing exactly what they were protecting. Mercer's basement was not the only place with seed plates, not the only place storing laborers, not the only place with internal private chains. It was just the first exposed, and after exposure, the entire system behind it immediately tightened, like water escaping through a crack, then retreating into darkness. In the report sent to Washington, the final line written by the commanding agent: "We are facing a network with structure, cycle, scale. Mercer is a segment, not the center." But perhaps the heaviest echo came from the words of a young agent leaving Building B at 3 a.m. that day. He looked at the ceiling, then asked, "If an empire like this can hide right in the middle of a major city, how many other empires are standing behind doors no one has opened yet?" No one could answer, as 17 people remained missing, 3 international cells still operating, and 2 offshore wallets continued receiving funds on schedule, as if no raid had ever happened. Files continued to be analyzed. Blockchain nodes continued to be traced. Shell companies continued to be peeled, layer by layer. But the end has not come. It may take a long time. It may never truly close. And if you believe justice needs more light than darkness to survive, then this is only the beginning. Please continue following the latest investigative stories. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any part. Thank you for joining us. See you in the next journey.